How many of you were afraid of the dark when you were younger? Let me see a raise of hands. Okay, now how many of you are currently afraid of spiders? What about taking exams? Who gets nervous when you have to take an exam, or do public speaking, or even a presentation like today in class? You know what? That's common, because these are all known as fears, but more specifically, your childhood fears. Today, I'm going to be talking about the fear in children and the anxiety that can come from your fears. According to abnormal child psychology, a fear is an immediate alarm reaction to the current danger or life-threatening emergency. Fears are all about the acting out now and in the present because it's usually an escape to the matter at hand. There's a signal that gets sent to the central nervous system, which results in the urge to act out. This often includes running away from something, fighting, or even screaming to escape the object or situation. You can relate this feeling to the panic you get when you go to a haunted house and you become frightened from the jump scares. The fear starts to overbear you and you feel the need to run, escape, fight, kick, anything you can to escape that situation. This is also known as the fight or flight mechanism. These all happen with the hormones in your body and the signals from your brain. Over time, your childhood fears will change and decrease with age. So at once you were afraid of the dark, but I'm pretty sure, we all outgrow that at some point. If not, that's okay. Fears can also relate to your gender. So it's common that girls are afraid of more things than guys, and that also goes along with age too. There are many different types of fears you'll experience throughout your lifetime. You often experience school-related fears. These are the big ones that don't go away for a while. And it's when you get anxious to present or you take an exam. So a lot of times students will miss the day of the exam and then ask to make it up or just skip the quiz overall because it's only a couple points. And then there's social fears, which relate to the things that happen every day, like being afraid of heights, so you're not going to get on the plane to visit your cousin, or not going on that family vacation because you have to go on a cruise. These are also other objects like, spiders, bugs, anything like that. It's been known by Kids Health that social fears increase while school fears remain stable. And oftentimes these fears become severe and lead to phobia or anxiety. Some of the main common fears in children include loud noises and loss of physical support from their parents at the ages 0 to 6 months. So kids will often, be afraid to be left alone, and they feel like they don't have that connection with their parent, which is why they often cry a lot. And then around ages 3 and 4, you become afraid of masks, animals, the dark. So dogs seem scary to you, even though right now, we all love dogs. And masks, you go to the haunted houses now, but they scare you when you're younger. And then supernatural beings and natural disasters and school performances all come around ages 9 and 12. So getting ready for the Christmas program might have, given you all stage fright, or being afraid of the ghosts that you hear upstairs. That's because it's normal. As mentioned before, these fears can be prolonged and become an anxiety for some. According to abnormal children's psychology, anxiety is known as a mood characterized by strong negative emotion and body tension. So this is when a child anticipates the future danger rather than what's happening now. So it's all going on in their head that something bad is going to happen. It's not like fear because it's not in the present moment, it's a future worry. So think about a time when you thought about an upcoming event or due date. You start to worry, you start to panic, that it won't get done and you won't have time, you're going to fail, something will go wrong. That's what anxiety feels like, but it's a lot worse for some to where there's no escape. And it's a long, drawn out, slow drip experience. According to Kids Health, there's common anxiety types that children will experience throughout their lifetime. These include your separation, your social, generalized, obsessive compulsive disorder, and in the end, it usually results in a panic attack. To explain this a little bit more, separation is when the child becomes terrified that they're going to be left alone. So So oftentimes kids are afraid to stay at their friend's house because they don't have their parents, they don't have their special blanket or their stuffed animal, so they won't stay. And then social anxiety is a little bit different. It's when you're shy, afraid, you don't like to talk to others you don't know. So when your friend invites you to their birthday party, you say no because you don't like to get out of your comfort zone. Many people experience this to an extreme, and the general form is the generalized anxiety that when you feel like you're not good enough because you're not meeting someone's expectations, that's what generalized anxiety is. They feel like they need the constant approval and reassurance from adults that they're constantly doing good and constantly, meeting up to the standards that they need. Think about a time when you felt that you weren't good enough, or a time that you worried about not meeting someone's expectations. That's how these children constantly feel. Now, a panic attack will often feel similar to a heart attack. And it makes you feel like your heart is beating out of your chest, and your head might feel light and dizzy, and some say it's an out-of-body experience because you feel like everything else is going, but you're not. And depending on the severity of your panic attack, it can last a few seconds, a couple minutes, or maybe hours. But when the person is experiencing it, it feels like a whole lifetime and eternity has passed by. So, although it may seem normal that children are afraid and try to avoid situations, it leads into something bigger sometimes, and these become the anxieties that I just mentioned. So you shouldn't ignore it or push it aside or say, oh, they'll outgrow it. There are ways to help your child, and this is, when they're dealing with these fears and phobias and anxieties. And some of these mechanisms include reconstructive thinking. So giving them a likely scenario so they're afraid of roller coasters. If you put on a video on YouTube and have them watch it from, the perspective that they're on it, it'll help show them that they're not so scary. And then there's mindful breathing, where you concentrate on the breaths you take and you focus all of your mind and body and energy on those breaths. And then there's even just going to simple yoga or exercising with your child, something to ease, all the body's tension. Mindful breathing exercises, according to the University of Michigan, include square breathing. So this is when you breathe in for 4 seconds, and then you hold it for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds, and you hold that for 4 seconds. If you repeat this 10 minutes, you focus on your breath. And then it might not feel like a change at first, but it might make you feel a little worse, and you're like, why am I doing this? If you repeat it and exercise this daily for 10 minutes, you will feel a change. It'll happen in your body, in your mind, with your attitude, your sleep patterns, and even your school performance. So I'm sure we've all experienced fear and maybe some panic and a little anxiety during certain situations. But I hope this TED Talk has given you a little more insight on where they come from, how they can expand into something more, and I hope you can help a child who's dealing with these situations by doing something, even if it's being their support, reminding them to breathe, or helping them get through these times. Thank you.